I want to bring up this next guy. I think he brings a really interesting story, and he leaves behind an incredible legacy. And let me take you out to October 2nd, 1969. Medevac pilot, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Michael Novosel Sr. and his crew, they've been flying missions that day already for 7 hours before they were received word about this next one.
Let's talk about 7 hours worth of combat ops, dude.
Oh.
Just to make the point here, you can be in a 30-minute gunfight, and when that fight's over, the adrenaline dump that you experience in the gunfight starts to subside, and you are immediately exhausted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got nothing left, right? But to do 7 hours of flying into a combat zone, flying out, flying in, flying out, flying in, flying out, dude, I bet he was wiped out. Wiped out.
Totally. I mean, just driving down 95 for 7 hours. You're like, I've been driving all day. I'm tired. You know, like.
Yeah. You don't have you're not worried about anybody shooting at you there.
Yeah. You just keep going. But so this guy, this is the call he gets. They got some South Vietnamese troops. They're engaged against the Viet Cong, and three units. One becomes kind of trapped, pinned down. The wounded are pinned down, and he gets the call. He's going to go in and take care of these guys. So flying without any air cover. So this is like right by the Cambodian border. He makes the first attempt in the area, and he takes machine gun fire from around the clock, like everywhere, and he's forced out 6 times. Can't get in. So on the next attempt in, he makes it in successfully. But what he does once he gets down to the ground is he realizes the only way he's going to pull this off is to put the skids down and just coast along the ground with his helicopter picking up the wounded
and load the wounded as he's moving.
Yeah, once
savage.
Make your approach there, slow it down. They sit up. Your crew pulls them on.
Yank them on, yeah.
And you just keep going like that. And he pulled out. He'd get like 9 or 10 wounded aboard, max out the capacity of the Huey, fly them back, and then come back into the combat zone. Same approach, same way, get down, moving along. And he does this a total of 3 times. Now, on a 3rd time, they must have went over a guy, and one of the crewmen saw this dude waving a flag on the ground behind them. So he throws this thing in reverse, and he's skidding back.
This dude, just think about the control it takes to be able to do that with a helicopter.
Yeah, like on the ground. Like
freaking nuts, man.
You're on the ground. It's nuts. The skill is incredible. And so they're backing up to get this guy now. And in front of them, this NVA soldier pops up with an AK. Full 30-round mag, just starts unloading from 30 yards away, right on Mike Novosel.
Right into the windshield.
Yeah, his crew. And things get crazy. So they're trying to pull this guy on board. Mike Sr. gets his hand shot, and it deflects. His hand gets blown back, and the stick pulls back, moving the helicopter. Another round comes in, deflects off his boot. So he pulls his leg up, and his other leg shot forward and kicked the pedal.
So this thing's going all over the place now.
This thing's going all over the place. There's rounds are hitting the windshield, splintering through. Like, it's just awful situation, and he's losing control of this helicopter. Now, the only thing that he can do in the moment is reach down and grab that throttle to try to rise up, give it full throttle and get up.
Yeah.
And but the dude that they were rescuing falls out and lands on the skids, like he's just hanging on, like he's sitting on the skids now.
And they're going up.
That's
a scary proposition, dude. That's not a position you want to be in.
They're going up and all over the place, like it's crazy. But by the time they get about 60 feet in the air, he gains control of the stick, levels the bird out. They pull that guy on board. Co-pilot jumps up in the front, and they're back out. They're on their way.
Crazy, man.
Wounded. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy the things that could happen in the blink of an eye. Now that day, he made 15 he completed 15 extractions and saved the lives of 29 wounded men.
That's insane. That's insane.
That's a lot of times in and out.
15 times that you could be, killed.
Yeah.
Your bird could be hit and disabled there on the battlefield. You could be stuck with all those guys that are surrounded. It's 15 times that you could take any kind of round, just through the windshield like you did, but it ended up killing you. It's also 15 times that your bird could just flat out blow up.
Yeah.
If they get an RPG on you or anything like that. Because back then the fuel that they used was super combustible. Nowadays,
Yeah.
that's not the case as much. You know, you don't when you see like a Black Hawk go down nowadays, you won't see a lot of fire around it, and that's for a reason, because in Vietnam they had a huge issue with this. They talk about it in John Plaster's Mac V SOG book.
Okay.
Because there's numerous stories about these Hueys catching on fire and them having to go in and try to get these guys that are still on board the Huey out before the Huey blows up. So that's 15 chances for any of that to happen, right? And
just kept going back.
Listen, it's chaotic down there, dude. You have no. I mean, at any point it could be your time to go. It takes that takes extreme bravery.
Extreme bravery, and the bar is set high now. The new pilot I wanted to tell you about that came into Vietnam at the time, 2 months later, this guy, he requested to be assigned to the same unit as Mike Novosel, and his name is Warrant Officer Michael J. Novosel Jr. It's his son.
Father-son duo.
Father-son duo.
You don't get a lot of those.
No, not at all. Anywhere. And so when he arrives in country and he starts working with his dad, he informs his dad. So Senior finds out that he's being recommended for the Medal of Honor for that day in October from his son.
That's cool.
So yeah,
That's
word
cool.
on the street, Pops. Let me tell you.
I heard you got put in for the big one.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And so these guys, during their tours, they overlapped for some time, and they flew missions as pilot co-pilot together, sometimes on the same bird and sometimes not. But in March of 1970, Novosel Jr. and his crew, they were doing some mission, and they get shot down in their Huey. Well, his dad, Novosel Mike Sr., he hears the Mayday call go out, but he's at the moment like 15 minutes away, but he's wrapping up another mission with some wounded on his bird. While he's finishing that, he drops them off. He receives confirmation that your son is still alive and his crew members are still alive, and they're taking cover and they need help. So he bolts over there.
Could you imagine the panic that dude was feeling?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Because, like, you know, he does it all the time, but it's different when it's your son.
Certainly.
You know?
Certainly. The panic. A 15-minute flight must feel like a lifetime.
Dude, it had to have been just unbelievable amounts of panic. But, like, he has to keep it together, too. You know? He's got to get there and do the job.
Be a pro. Be a boss. But he goes down, medevacs his son and crew, and gets him out of there successfully. So that's an incredible thing. Now, this is the cool part. 7 days later, just 1 week, okay, Novosel Sr., same thing. He's on a mission. He gets shot down. He's in some muddy rice paddy somewhere. And who comes to rescue him? His own son. So Mike Jr., a week later, after being medevaced by his own father, at 19 years of age, he goes in and medevacs his dad out of the combat zone.
Well, how about that? Dude, I mean,
how cool is that story?
Dude, sometimes the craziest things like that will happen in battle. You know what I mean? Like, every war kind of, you have a multitude of stories that come up like that.
Yeah.
Where, you know, but to have it be father-son and it happen is, what are the chances? You know, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, I know. When I was watching one of the YouTube interviews with Mike Sr., he said, like when he was getting medevaced by his son, he said, quote, "I'll never hear the last of this." So they must have had an interesting relationship, man.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they were super tight. It'd be hard not to be. You think about how tight, you know, we are with everybody else that we were in with.
Right.
And if it was your dad, you know, that's got to be a bond unlike anything else.
Yep. A bonded for life. I couldn't imagine being a pilot, though, at 19 years old. That's a lot of training.
A lot of responsibility, too, man.
To be a young kid now. But Mike Novosel, you know, he's got this legacy, and I just want to go over it. He's born in Pennsylvania to Croatian immigrant parents. So English was not even his first language. He had a lengthy career, an interesting career, and he actually enlisted in the Army Air Corps in February 1941, so well before Pearl Harbor. He's in there.
So not only was he in World War II, he was in all of World War II.
All of it, yeah.
From the beginning to the end, man.
Yeah. This
God,
guy,
that's crazy.
He's that old. So he flew bombers in World War II, and this part's cool. During the Japanese surrender on the USS Missouri, the Mighty Mo, there was a flyover. He was piloting one of the B-29 bombers that flew over the Mighty Mo during the signature surrender.
What an event to be present for,
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Interesting career. So he like gets out. He stays in the reserves during the Korean War. He flew transport planes. After the Korean War, he's still in the reserve. At this time now, it's the Air Force, and he ends up, he's flying commercial flights. And then by 1963, he wanted to get back in service. Vietnam War's coming in, and but at the time he was 42, and he was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force Reserves. They wouldn't take him back, so he resigns his commission and joins the Army as a warrant officer.
What a big, dude, to resign your commission as a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
To go be a chief warrant officer. That's eating some humble pie right there.
Humble
just
pie.
to be able to go get back in the fight,
Yep. Took the opportunity to do it no matter what. And and by doing so, his plans were just kind of like, I'm an old guy, let me train new pilots and pass on my experience and knowledge.
If World War III kicked off, tomorrow, I would feel the urge to want to go back, but I would want to go back in a training capacity, right?
Right.
I'm not trying to get my old ass out on the battlefield.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a young man's game. I'll teach him how. I don't want to be out there doing it, though,
Yeah. Well, he went right to Vietnam, and he flew 2,543 missions, and he evacuated 5,589 wounded men.
Can you imagine that,
throughout
man?
the war.
There's that many people walking around on the face of the planet because of the actions of that man. That's crazy.
Yep.
5,000? That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's so many people, dude.
That is so many people. Now, like I said, he took the opportunity 3 times to serve his country, and in June of 1971, he was presented the Medal of Honor for his actions on October 2nd, 1961, by President Nixon at the time there. So,
A man that deserved it, that's for sure.
certainly, and he was the last active duty military aviator to fly combat missions in World War II, and he ended his career as a trainer, senior advisor, counselor at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and retired there in 1985. And just this year, in April of 2023, they renamed Fort Rucker Fort Novosel in his honor.
That's awesome.
So his legacy
That's awesome.
continues on forever.